Attention bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, yodelers. We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I'm your host today, Japheth, with
Jackie.
and
I'm your OSHA violation officer. I'm here because I heard you needed my assistance. I heard there was an OSHA violation.
Wrong OSHA.
Wrong OSHA? Oh, I'm sorry.
yes, and thank you, Peter, for being OSHA approved on this. We also have a guest today. It's Father Yodeler.
Father Yodeler, yes.
Father.
He's here, and we're going to talk. Peter hinted at what we're going to talk about. It is Star Wars Acolyte.
We're going to talk about OSHA violations?
OSHA violations. Yes.
OSHA violation.
That would be interesting
When-
to go through all the OSHA violations of Disney.
It's all the crimes of
right.
safety that they've committed during this atrocious. No, we're talking about the latest drop on Disney Plus. It's a huge production. I mean,
Yeah, very
it's
expensive.
The $180 million production. This is what we've seen come out of Disney Plus with some Marvel production. I think Secret War was like in the 200
Yeah, that
million
was
range.
up there, yeah.
And this is where people are starting to go, are you getting your money's worth out of this?
Right.
You know, there's questions now how Disney Plus is handling these big shows
Oh,
that
yeah,
are like
they canceled all the Marvel shows and projects. Like, most of those have been scrapped now.
yeah, since we're starting to see these streaming wars fizzle down and you're seeing an aggregation of them together.
Oh, we're supposed to make money?
Yeah.
Is that what they're saying?
Yeah. Ask Paramount about that one.
Netflix tricked us on a false dream.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Star Wars Acolyte, and it just came out. For those who haven't seen it, we'll ask everybody: there's two fans? Should the regular person watch this that's seen the Disney or that have seen the Star Wars movies?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so. I think they should see it.
Okay.
You can skip it.
It's so my feelings on it are like, are the Star Wars fans gonna watch it? The Star Wars fan, we already know they've already watched
Yes.
it. If you're a Star Wars fan, you probably already watched it. The Star Wars fans who are refusing to watch it, they won't watch it.
Oh,
they've already
if
made
they
that
haven't
decision.
watched it
Now-
already? Yeah, no, I don't know.
Right. But my opinion on it in terms of, like, should the casual audience watch it? My aspect is, if Disney decides not to do anything else with it, you don't need to watch it.
Yeah, there is that question: is there going to be a season 2?
Right.
And if there isn't going to be a season 2,
You don't need to waste your time.
don't waste your time on it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like what Netflix does. They'll show you something and they're like, we may continue it, and you get emotionally attached to it, and they're like, now we got rid of it, and you're like, man,
It was too much money.
it's too much money,
Yeah.
and you guys did make it into Bridgerton, so sorry.
So that's my point of view on it.
I say if they do a season 2, I say yes, watch
Yes.
it. If you're a deep, like if you understand what the Skywalker saga is about, don't watch it.
You're going to have certain feelings.
You're just gonna
towards
be
it.
like, what? You did what?
You're gonna be confused.
what?
'cause they,
What?
Yeah.
I
And we're
was
go-
confused, and I don't know the Skywalker saga as well.
It's just there's just. Yeah, we're gonna get into this. So, I'll read the intro. So you have the opening intro. It goes, 100 years before the rise of the Empire, it is a time of peace. Sorry, I'm talking like Sam the Eagle. The Jedi Order.
It's the Jedi way.
And the Galactic Republic have prospered for centuries without war. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, a powerful few learn to use the Force in secret.
Oh, this would be much better as a Muppet episode.
would.
It would have been way better. This is a good use of Muppets and Star Wars. Oh, I like
They
it.
should just have Muppets reviewing movies and stuff.
Or doing this
it.
episode.
Doing the episode.
I've always been the advocate. Stop making these live action remakes and just make Muppet remakes of Disney classic movies, and they would work.
It worked really well for
Oh.
Family Guy. They did the Star
Yes.
Wars movies, and they were funny.
They were great.
And so yeah, do it with Star Wars with
Muppets.
Muppets, yeah, for sure. All right, I'll get back to the opening thing.
Yeah.
One of them, a lone assassin, risk discovery to seek revenge. Sorry, that was Yoda.
Sam Eagle. We got a Muppet theme to episode
Well,
today.
we got a Frank Oz involved here on this one. So we start off, we're in a bar, a Jedi, and then a witch walk into a bar. So you have Master and Dara, and you may recognize her. She was in Matrix.
Right.
That
She's
was
Carrie Ann
probably
Moss.
the biggest name.
She was
in
the big name. She was like the headline, like, she's in this show, everyone. It's gonna be amazing.
We're getting Matrix.
It's gonna be awesome. Just watch what happens within the first 10 minutes of this show.
Right. And
This is a clue of how the whole show goes.
it's supposed to be your hook, right? It's supposed to be. And so you have Master and Dara, and then you get introduced to May, who is this assassin seeking revenge. And they have a fight that's kung fu style, and then
Which
Master
the
and
fight
Dara
was
dies.
cool.
The fight was fun.
So
I
did you
thought the
have an
fight was
issue where it was
fun.
more like I never knew they did so much hand-to-hand combat during the High Republic?
Why
it was just a
not?
different fighting style.
Yeah.
I don't have any qualms with that aspect of it. I thought it's a different take, and I was okay with that. That didn't
Yeah.
bother me.
No, it was fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the first time we actually see a Jedi hunted that's not by
Right.
Darth Vader or the Empire. So we're getting introduced to like, oh, something dark here, right here, and then we get introduced to OSHA, and now we're not talking about the government agency. It's May, who was fighting Master and Dara. It's her twin sister.
Well, to be fair, OSHA does fight fires in space.
she does. She
Just
is.
saying.
Yeah, she's a mechanic on a ship right now where the Trade Federation doesn't want to buy robots.
No, it's against the law for them not to be using droids
Yeah.
to repair outside the ship. It's like against the law or something like
Yeah,
For
there's
safety,
for
yeah.
safety
that.
reasons.
OSHA.
OSHA. So they're like, we can get around the OSHA rules by hiring
OSHA.
Yeah. And so we go back, and the OSHA story's given. She was an 8-year-old admitted into the Jedi after losing her family and village, and later left on her own the Jedi Council. And so this takes 16 years after she was, joined the Jedi.
Jedi, yeah.
You get this theme on the first one where attachment brought up as the main theme. They really hit upon this. There's a lot of emotion that you're getting from these Jedis. And it was different from like the hint of like, you don't need attachment. And like, it just kind of like, it gets squashed. Here, it's just like, watch your attachment.
Right.
Be careful. And so, since the Jedi are trying to figure out who killed Master and Dara, they
I wasn't sure if you had said that she died.
yeah, I did. She said,
Okay.
and Dara dies. Yeah.
The star.
So we start off with the
big,
Jedi
the
dies.
big star of the show.
Dies.
She dies within 10
But don't
minutes of
worry,
it.
we'll have many flashbacks to go back on.
Right.
So she,
Yeah, that was helpful when the flashbacks came back because I was disappointed when, they killed her off.
right.
Is this a Harrison Ford situation? Yeah, I'll come back, but you gotta kill me off.
In the first 5 seconds.
Or it could be like Tony Stark or be Robert Downey Jr. where you come back and now you're a
Now
villain.
you're a villain.
We
Because
have,
they're
we have
multiverse.
Tom Hanks in the show, but we're killing him off in the first 5 seconds.
He was too much money.
So since Asha's twin with May, she gets accused of it because only a Jedi could kill a Jedi.
Well,
right?
they thought
May didn't even existed.
correct
Because
They
we will
didn't
find
know.
out.
They didn't know there was a twin.
They didn't know there was a twin. And so, yeah, Osha is in this prisoner ship. It crashes, and then her old master, Master Soul, you may recognize him from, what was the game from Netflix?
Oh, Squid
Squid Game.
Games.
Squid Games. He is from that. Yeah. And that's where Osha sees her twin sister May in a dream vision. And then we're introduced to a Sith at the very end. He's talking in his mask, looking out over the ocean. And then he flashes his lightsaber at May, who is getting mentored but doesn't know who the master is because he's a man in a mask. You know, you don't ask the identity of a man in a mask because
I'll
that defeats the
follow
purpose.
you. Do you know who I am? Nope, but I'll follow you.
Yeah.
I'll do what you tell me to do.
And he leaves off with this saying. He goes, "The Jedi live in a dream they believe everyone shares. If you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you will fail. Steel or laser are no threats to them, but an Acolyte kills without a weapon. An Acolyte kills the dream." So they kind of introduced this Sith, which we were told what? The Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years.
A millennia.
A millennia.
Right.
We've lived in peace.
The opinions are starting to come out.
They never say.
You're just like, "Ugh."
They never say Sith though, do they?
Yeah.
In the show, he
In the
does
show.
call himself a Sith.
Oh, okay. I missed.
He
that.
says, "I am a Sith."
He goes, "I'm a Sith," and he says
He does
like,
say it.
and he goes, "You are trying to destroy me for how I want to use my power." You know, he calls out when he's talking to Master Soul about that in another episode. So he fully established, I am a Sith, and he practices in, you know, the Sith way. And so we have May, who's on this mission to seek revenge for the death of her mother and her family. And so she has killed Master Indara, who was part of this group,
But
and
she used a weapon,
but she did use a weapon.
so she didn't pass the test.
She doesn't pass the test yet. And then she goes after Master Torben, who's in this meditative state, floating there.
He's taking a vow of silence, a forever nap, basically. He just sits there and takes a nap all day.
Yeah,
he's
he-
like, oh, he's in deep meditation.
He hasn't said anything in 10 years.
It's like, no, he's just taking a nap.
He doesn't want to go back on that one planet.
He is
to
not
collect
collecting
soil.
grass anytime soon. He's like, I did not sign up for 6 weeks of non-Coruscant food and grass.
That guy hated leaving Coruscant. He hated. Nah, he's like, man, he's a city boy.
He's a city boy. He is not.
It's not like camping.
He's a city slicker. He cannot hang.
Like, he literally lost his mind. He's like, I can't camp anymore. Let's go kill some witches.
Kanaka's like cooking up some good food. He's like, I have to eat another one of these things. Kanaka's like, hey man, I'm trying here, all right? So we're diving into what happens in
Later.
the flashback,
I
but
know.
you know, in the next episode, we're introduced to the Sith, Chimere. I think that's his name.
Wait! Did you miss the big fight there? Out in the streets?
No, that's later.
Yeah, that happens 3.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't want to miss that.
We're introduced to him because May goes to
It's,
the merchant, the squirrely guy. The actor is portrayed by Manny Jacinto.
He's a high point. He's a good point.
He's
here.
a good actor.
Right.
You may know him from The Good Place. He was
Right.
Jason.
Yes.
Great. You know, we're like, it's good to see that he's doing something besides a dumb 20-year-old that
Yeah.
dies and is in The Good Place. But yeah, I thought highly of how he did. May and Chimere escape Kofar, and there was that huge fight because they use Osha as kind of like to go into this merchant after Master Tobin dies from floating or he was given poison
right.
because May introduces us to Chimere, who makes the poison, and May gives the poison to Torben, and Torben takes the poison to die, so he doesn't have to live with those pain.
With his guilt.
With his guilt, you know.
I couldn't stand camping.
Yeah.
I'd rather take the poison
when
than
you learn
camping.
his backstory, you're just like,
Oh, you are the weakest Padawan. You know what? Like,
yeah, it was his backstory is not very
Can we
good.
talk about the other Jedis that you are introduced, like
the ultimate tool.
Yeah.
Tool guy. I like the Padawan. She was
She was
really
good. She was.
And she had a cool death. But we'll get
She
to
was
that point.
hardcore.
Well, and she had a cool name.
Yeah.
But it's better than Yord Fandar.
yeah.
But no.
Jackie was cool. That's her name.
Yeah.
Jackie.
Yeah, she had a cool name.
It's Jackie with an E, not an A. Without the E at the end.
But no, a lot of the Jedis I just got annoyed by. Like, they were just like very arrogant and preppy kind of.
It's the yellow. It was just too much. You're like, oh, I'm above beige. Oh my.
There was a sense of like,
There's some complacency,
Right.
And you just they made the Jedi's.
Also, like, I
Villains
didn't have
and
any
arrogant.
like connection with them. Like, they did not build any like emotional connection with them.
The best one was with Master Soul.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the only one.
he
really.
was definitely the
He was
most
the down to earth one.
likable.
You're like, oh wow, he's like a Qui-Gon. You
Yeah, at
kinda
this
feel.
point, you still like him.
You still like him, yeah. Everybody else, you're just like, all right, you got the new Jedi Knight that's like, we're gonna do this and that, and everyone's all like, man, take it easy. Like, you're new on the job here, aren't you?
Right.
Like, so yeah, they use, they followed May to this one guy, and they're like, okay, we're gonna use OSHA that looks just like her, and see if we can get more information to trap May, so we can bring her back for her crimes. And it turns into this whole like fight with Master Soul versus May. May escapes, and
OSHA could have stopped her, but she didn't.
she didn't. You know, well, you're shocked. You just saw your sister for the first time in
Yeah.
16 years. You thought she died in the fire that she set.
I for sure would have shot her.
You would have shot your sister.
Whoa, whoa!
It was a stun gun. It was a stun gun. Okay.
Remind me to stay away from
It
you.
was a stun gun.
I'm a little
Yeah,
shocked.
said
Peter's
that.
like, I'd stun her, and I would laugh at it too.
I think we need to watch out for Peter.
I think the statement "Don't tase me, bro" is quite appropriate at this time. Yeah, so May and Kymir escape to Kofar to find Kanaka, and after being confronted by the Jedi. So we're left with those are the first two episodes. How did you feel after those first two episodes? Where you're like, okay, it's a Jedi movie. We're getting lightsabers.
I like the lightsaber battle in the street. That was probably the highlight where he said, "Oh, this could be fun. This
Yeah,
could be fun."
the-
It was the dust throwing. It was like an old western, but Jedi style. It was great.
There was a lot of internet hate for these first two episodes, and I was at the point of like, I need to see more before I can pass
Agreed.
judgment.
Correct.
I heard about the hate, and I was like, I'm gonna wait for. I made it till the week before the last episode,
Right.
and then I just then it flipped. I was like, I get it.
Because I think the visual effects, the sound effects, it was all there.
It was all good.
Yeah.
The acting was a little strange. Like you're going, okay, these seem
These characters are kind of weak.
weird,
But Star Wars is not known for their acting.
It's like, look at Mark Hamill in first Star Wars. Like, he's not very good. That he's
But-
the weakest point of that movie.
But if you're just looking for the
to Tashi
Nailed it.
I need some power converters.
Uncle Owen won't let me join the rebellion. Yeah, we all love Luke Skywalker after that one.
Yeah.
So let me turn my computer off. You know, like, what are you doing? He's like, Luke, use the Force. Everyone's like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was. After I watched, I was like, okay, I'm fine. Nothing's horrible.
Right.
I didn't believe I needed to burn down Star Wars. I
Yeah.
wasn't throwing my stuff in the fire.
it had a different feel, but
It
you know,
was.
yeah, it was well. I'll give
I was
it
like,
a
it's
chance.
High Republic. It's only 100 years before. Let's give it some time. All right, flashback. 16 years prior and we're shown where
Flashback number 1.
Flashback number 1, yeah, we get Osha and Maze where they're at, and they are daughters from the Night Witches.
No, not Night Witches.
They're Night
No.
Sister Witches, aren't
They're-
they?
no.
What are they?
They're just something else. They're just like
I know they're a
different-
break-up. They're a break-off of the
They're,
Force.
they're just a different type of witch.
Okay, they are a different type of witch. You're right. They are not like Night Witch, but they really have a
They're
lot
not
of similar
the Night
things.
Sisters, yeah.
That's it. So like, yeah, they are Force users, but it's different.
Right.
And so it's like a convent of like all females there, but there's 2 young kids.
Yeah.
And like May wants, and you're introduced to like 8-year-old May, and they have this ceremony, this rites of passage, and May wants to ascend, and Osha's like, I don't know, this is kind of not my thing, and it's interesting. You got two twins, and you could see they have some Force ability. The Jedis who have been targeted thus far in the show, we're introduced to them on this planet, and they're doing some sort of investigation because there was a hyperspace accident on this planet that killed all life.
This is a reference to a book, the first book of the High Republic.
Okay, I've done no research of High Republic.
I just remember hearing it's like, oh, there was a hyperspace accident. I'm like, oh, that's the accident
So they're
that
pulling
happened
from that?
in the first High Republic book.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what where this thing that I was like, oh, okay, that's how they're
They're
connecting.
trying to bring it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's life there, obviously, because the Jedi are collecting grass and taking metal detectors around this one specific location.
Because they sense a virgin.
They sense a vergence because no life, now there is life.
Correct.
And something has,
something happened here.
yeah.
And this is when you start looking at the Jedi and going, gee, it doesn't look as fun being a Jedi as I always imagined it would be.
So I kind of laughed because there was the episode of that YouTube show you mentioned.
Yeah.
Where he's like, yeah, you never show all the grass collecting you do as a Jedi, do you, in the posters? And like we have a thing in the military where we're like, oh yeah, we're slaying dragons with swords and we're climbing cliffs.
Jumping out of helicopters.
And you don't see people like picking up cigarette butts at 4:00 in the morning, and you're like, or 3:00 in the rain, and you're shooting in the range. You're like, oh yeah, see the world. It's amazing. Yeah, there's always the joke of like, yeah, if they did a real video game, no one would ever join the military.
Right.
And so I think that was kind of like, to me, that was the funniest part of the whole show. Was like, yeah, that's not all what you thought it was. Like, I want to be a Jedi. While the Jedi were there, Master Soul sees the 2 kids going, wow, there's 2 kids out here in the middle of nowhere, and they're kind of Force sensitive. Let's follow them. And then they like find out with the witches, and they confront the witches with like, hey, you guys got kids
That have the Force.
that have the Force.
We're entitled to them.
We want to test them by order of the Republic, and
Yeah, it was like this like sense of like they belong to us now.
we
like
are
it was
we
like
are the only people that can handle the Force here
Right.
in the universe. And I'm like, oh wow, they're hitting that point of like the
Yeah.
arrogance of the Jedi,
Yeah.
and like we are the only official users because we don't have attachment. But the whole like episode, the whole season is about
attachment.
attachment. So yeah, they go, we want to test them. They're like, all right, we'll let you test them, right? And so the kids like fake the test. They're like, oh, it's a mountain, it's a rabbit.
It was a fun trick where he's all like, right, and he's like, no, it's not.
Gotcha.
I got
So they find out their M counts too, where they take their M counts, and then there's like
I love how like they use M count now.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid to use the actual word
Metachlorian.
metachlorian
Why?
because there's so much hate for that word
It was introduced.
in episode 1.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh, you just kind of took all
ma-
the
you took the
magic out.
And
You
you turn
named
it
it
into
to
you turn it
science.
into science, then not
Instead of like this
magic.
mystical force around us, you're like, but science says you have
The
metachlorians.
cells have this chemical imbalance in there that gives you power to lift rocks.
Yes, and so they do that, and they find out that they have like the same kind of, they have the same soul, really, like the
Yeah.
force soul. and it's like they're two separate people, but they're like force soul or identity is the same.
They stole it from Kingdom Hearts. This is a storyline from Kingdom Hearts. I'm just saying. There's a similar thing.
Are they getting
There's
sloppy
two
here?
characters. There's two characters. They're the same being. One's bad, one's good, and together they make the ultimate weapon. And so,
Oh, there's a Star Trek episode
Is
with
there
Captain
something like
Kirk
that?
on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
I'll take you guys' word for it.
The enemy within.
Is that with the Star Trek episode?
Yeah. I
Is that
believe
where
so.
Spock's got the goatee?
No,
How-
no,
No,
no.
that's
That's
something
Mirror,
else.
Mirror.
How dare you bring up Star Trek on a Star Wars
It's okay.
episode?
Fans now are kind of like cross. They're not like loyal. Like they're like, yeah, I'm this and that, but I'm more this. So yeah, the Jedi, or was it no, we don't get Torben's story with this.
No,
we get
that happens
we get
later.
the confrontation of
This is the sister's backstory.
yeah. We get the sisters flashback on this where May is mad at Osha for wanting to leave, and
Right.
so May is confronted by her mother, and she goes, "You don't you make sure she doesn't leave," and so she traps her in a room
It starts
Starts
a
a
fire.
and starts a fire.
Great idea.
Right,
Yeah.
8-year-old logic on this
Yeah.
one, and then the whole place starts to explode, and then
Right.
we're left with like May's on one side of the bridge, Osha's on the other, and Master Soul has to choose which one to save. He's holding both of the bridges up with the Force, which you could tell it's taken a toll on him, but then like he saves Osha.
Osha.
And May falls into the pit.
OSHA violation.
Gotta have that hard hat on. But everyone on the internet is going, why didn't he just pick up the kids? Isn't that a lot lighter than the bridge? Like, you could have just picked up the... And so that's why.
Yeah.
And so the Jedi save Osha,
Bring her to Coruscant.
bring her to Coruscant to become a Jedi. The council's like, we don't want you. We
She's
can't.
too old.
She's too old.
She's too old.
Yeah, but she goes on anyways because Master Soul wants to train her. But the Jedi, Master Soul blames the whole thing on her twin sister May. It's May's fire,
She started the fire.
and that's
It's the whole reason
that's
why
the whole
everybody
reason
died.
Everyone died, and we'll find out.
That's
not
why.
true.
That's why. Was it Master Corbin or whatever? He had to kill himself
Yeah.
because May started a fire.
Right? Yeah, he's felt with so much guilt right there.
Right.
So what we got was the flashback of how May sees it.
Right.
And what she's been told. All right, now that takes us out of the flashback, and now Kelnaka is on Kofar, and he lives a solitary life where he doodles, the witches' symbols all over the place.
Right.
And he's just living his little isolated life right there. And so you got the Jedi and the Sith, they're walking through the forest. And I kept thinking, like, the kid's like, walking through the forest, walking through the forest.
Right.
I'm not scared. And so, like, they're both on this mission to find Kelnaka. Then May gets to this point where going, you know what? I don't want to be a Sith anymore to Chimere. And he hangs up the guy from the shop, which we'll find out is the Sith in this episode, and leaves him to hang going, you know what? I'm all about my sister, because I thought she was dead, but she's alive, and I'm all
Yeah.
about her now. I don't need this revenge thing. Well, the next thing we know, Chimere kills Kanaka.
Which we don't see.
We don't see, which
It's
would have been
off.
really cool.
That would have been
Yeah.
really cool to see a Wookiee because we get to see a Wookiee fight later, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
But we don't get to actually see his death.
Yeah.
Right. I was wondering, I was like, wait, what happened to him?
Yeah.
It happened so quickly. Like, it took me the second time to watch. I'm going, oh, I did miss that. I was wondering, I was like, when did the
When did he
Wookiee
die?
die?
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have. So yeah, Kelnaka is killed before May gets there, and that's when May going like, oh snap,
They're gonna blame me.
I'm in trouble here because
gonna
I
blame
didn't
me.
do this, and
And the Jedi are here.
and the Jedi are here. Yeah, and then at that point, Chimere shows himself when the Jedi show up to get May, and we have the biggest cliffhanger ever where
Well, I mean, it was funny though, because all the reviews, all like the people who had seen the series so far said like episode 4, this is the best episode, and it's like, okay, this is gonna be, this is just the lightsaber fight.
yeah,
Okay,
Which
that's all
it
this
was the
episode.
best episode.
I don't know. I don't
episode
know.
5 is where the actual lightsaber fighting is. All you get is like all the lightsabers are initiated,
and then
and then you just see, the Sith
Well, that's the one.
push Osha out of the way.
yeah.
He's like out of the way, and then like you get like this hype, and you're like, all right, here it goes. And then the
And-
next episode, they don't even show all the lightsaber fighting.
No.
They're like, behind this bush here, there's lightsabers going. So
Budget
you had
cuts.
you had the guy in the pink shorts waving a lightsaber around. It's like, we spent 170 million on our hotel. We have no more money for production. We cannot physically show this lightsaber fight anymore. I was like, oh my gosh, you have the best. You have like 5 Jedis fighting against, 1 Sith. I mean, they didn't even bring that against Palpatine. There was only 3 of them.
But hey, Jackie had the best death.
Jackie, the Padawan
Yeah.
Jedi.
Not me.
She
Yeah,
was-
I'm alive.
Jackie
she was really good.
had the best death on the Matterhorn Yodelers.
He was
so
like, Jackie's dead.
there's no issues with being siblings right now.
5 Mickey bars. My sister's name has died in Star Wars. I didn't think that, Jackie.
None of you guys have a Jedi after your.
You're
I hope
I
not.
don't. I don't.
Master Japheth.
Master Jafar?
It's not E.T.
Master Jafar? Is that?
It's not E.T. the ride.
Jafar?
Go home.
Inside joke. Maybe it was in a podcast earlier.
I think we've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
Who listens to every episode, though?
So yeah, we get this Jedi fight that we don't get to see. So a bunch of the Jedi, but the Master Soul shows up, and the Sith, Chimere, the shopkeeper, is wearing a mask, and he's got this Kylo Ren effect. Did you like the mask? Did you like the helmet?
I like the mask. I thought his mask was
It
good.
was okay. I was okay with it.
Of my first impression of like the mask, I was like, oh, it's a Sith with another mask. But then they kind of explain why they have the mask later on.
Sensory
which
deprivation.
I appreciated.
It's kind of like training Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
That reason.
I appreciated that because I was like, oh, I get it now.
And there is a lot of lore with the Sith with mask and transferring control. There are comic books where they talk about collecting Sith artifacts, and a lot of them have to do with mask. So there's this thing with Sith and mask.
So Obi-Wan was really risking things when he was trying to show off to Han Solo with Luke Skywalker,
I think that's
giving
more-
him the mask.
No, like that's like a partial mask. Like that's just
That
like,
wasn't even like a Jedi one. That was just like a helmet.
Yeah, he's like, and he like, it's almost like he put like, all right, we'll put these flaps here, and you can't see. Can you see anything? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like a kid playing like, pin the tail on the donkey. No, I don't see anything, and they like walk
They
sideways.
tilt their head. They
like
tilt
their head up.
back. But yeah.
You're like, oh, can you see anything? No, I can't see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was the fight with Master Soul and the Sith was good, and you get a feel of like, and the Sith has that those wristbands that kind of cut out the lightsabers. Those have been mentioned in prior books,
Right.
So it looked kind of weird where they're like, why is my lightsaber not working? So there's a
Yeah.
material out there that kind of like diffuses the power of the lightsaber, and so this armor prevents them from being effective.
That's when you need a blaster.
I'll say this.
And
you
it's actually blaster, like that's the whole point of the armor. And there was a thing in the Thrawn books where they talk about there was a plant that Anakin Skywalker and Thrawn find that is producing this that would make the Jedi's blasters and lightsabers ineffective, and it was a tool made by the Confederation.
I'll say this about the lightsabers. I don't know. I'm probably the only person that notices, but those lightsabers looked huge.
Didn't they seem like they were like
They looked like
2
the
or 3
toy.
inches long?
They looked like the toy lightsabers. Like they were just super like.
That was
bulky.
100 years ago,
Well,
you
you
know,
know,
so
it's
they
like
hadn't
the
refined
first
it.
It just
iPhone
reminded.
was
It
big.
just looked like, oh, we got some Target lightsabers. you know, like the toy lightsaber. That's how like they look to me.
Well, and then you look at the Sith one, and that was cool. Like,
Right.
he's got two, and it's like more sleek, and it's like,
Right.
Well, maybe they just had really small hands that made the lightsaber look big.
within 100 years, everybody's hands grew in the galaxy. Oh.
That's the nerd in me. He's all like, the lightsabers are too bulky.
You've ruined it. Half a Mickey bar now. You killed my sister, but then your lightsabers are too big.
Disney's just trying to sell the lightsaber, so the bigger, the more expensive.
Right.
I guess. So yeah, the Jedi's fight. The Jedi die. Besides Master Soul, the twins confront each other. May wants Osha to join her. Then May switches with Osha and escapes with Master Soul.
They did a parent swap. The
Yeah.
parent trap.
Yeah.
The Parent Trap.
The Jedi trap.
I want to go and hang out with your master. You can hang out with mine. He's trying to kill me. I double crossed him.
Make this a musical.
I've never thought about, let's get together. Yeah. We can stab each other with lightsabers. And then you get this weird line by the Sith. He goes, "What extraordinary being we are. Even in revelation of our triumph, you see the depth of our despair." Like, this is a very, like, wisdom-heavy Sith. Like, he's been by himself for a long time.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to spew out all this stuff. He's like, yeah, I wrote this
It's
down
me
in a cave.
manifesto.
It's my manifesto. I wrote this down in a cave. I'm
Okay.
going to share it at a
When
very
he was in his
boom,
cave,
boom.
it totally gave Phantom of the Opera.
Do you get that vibe?
Oh, yeah. When he's in the cave with, like, Christine. Yeah.
I did like how it was OSHA safe with handrails on the outside. I was like, oh, good. They are safe on these sets.
That's right.
Because when you're hiding in a cave, nothing says secrecy like handrails outside.
He probably thought, he's like, you know what would be great? Handrails.
Hey,
Handrails.
OSHA, I'm bringing OSHA back with me.
OSHA.
Let's get this
We want to get these
OSHA compliant.
compliant right here. We ended with the end of the episode there. The lightsaber fights, it was cool. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed it. I was at this point, I'm like, all right, let's see where they go now.
Right.
I think the next episode is kind of flat. You get, OSHA hangs out with the sexy Sith.
Yeah.
He likes to, we get to watch him bathe in the pool. You
Right.
know, that was something.
I know, when it was going to the scene, I was like, wait, what's this rated?
I was waiting for Obi-Wan Kenobi to come out of like,
Hello there.
there. Let me get I was suntanning out in the sun, and I heard these Tusken Raiders were attacking you. Yeah, I was like, what's up with the sexy Sith thing going on right here? Then we get introduced to this green Jedi Master, Vernastra,
Yeah.
and she sends a whole team to Kafar to, like, investigate. And you have, like, the whiniest, like, kind of Jedi assistant who's like, "Oh, Master, you're going into hyperspace? Do you?"
Yes.
He did stand out as.
Did he stick up-
Really? Who picked this person to play?
He's
this,
the assistant.
This
Like,
way?
he's on the track of being in the library. Like, he does all the administrative work. There's those who collect grass, and there's those who prepare the real Jedi's trips. He does the itinerary.
Yeah.
And he's all like,
He calls the airport.
He's gonna go like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're going hyperspace? Do you want me to get you some Tums? I know your belly gets upset." I was like, why are these Jedi so weak?
It
And
was like, they're like, oh, we
And at a
need-
time when we had like Kid Fisto and Kia D and Mace Windu, and we've got like Tubs.
I need Tums. Oh, don't let the politicians know.
It was like, I'm sure they were like, oh, this is okay series, but we need to add more humor because there's humor in Star Wars. And they're like, Tums joke.
And they did it again later on. Like, the one she meets the senator later on, and he's like, "Oh, you went to hyperspace? I heard you have upset stomach." She's like, "It's in my head. It's in my head." Like, what happened? Was she like on the trip and she was like,
That's a season 2 question.
She's all
That's
throwing
a
up.
season 2 question. All right.
I was like, she's in charge.
If we get a season 2, we're gonna get 4 flashbacks of why she needs thumbs.
And then one will be like on the other. It'll be like the other like nerdy guys. Will like, I was preparing the itinerary when I heard Master Ventura throwing up in the back after going hyperspace. It's like, what? I didn't know you could get sick from hyperspace. Wow, you're really introducing new things to us. So
Peter's dying.
Peter has lost it here.
We end the episode on May. It finds out. Is found out by Master Soul, and they leave on the cliffhanger. I'll tell you what really happened, and then we go back in time again
And watch the same thing that we saw in episode 2, but from a different point of view.
from a different point of view. And I'm just sitting here going, "Are you kidding me?
It's like, I don't care.
I don't care at this point."
This is where we get. I hate camping. This is where we.
This is where we get this, and we find the Jedi out there collecting grass, and I go like, "That sucks."
And they're there for like weeks, and they're like, "We're collecting grass."
You imagine if you're Anakin during the time of peace, you are the chosen one, chosen, and like,
Anakin probably would have fallen to the dark side a lot sooner.
you know, you got like Emperor Palpatine's like, "How was that grass trip right there?" He's like,
I hate grass.
"I hate grass." That's great.
That was a good one, Jackie. I hate grass.
So yeah,
Green and stains everywhere.
I have to scrub these grass stains.
they're in my fingernails. Yeah, no, yeah. So we have that with Master Torben or Padawan Torben at the time. He's a little whitey baby, and he's just like, "I want to go back to Coruscant." It was like, when did the Padawan standards get so low? Or like,
He looked so cool when he was meditating, and then
and then
Then
you
you
lost
get
all
to-
respect right away.
You get to know, and you're like, you're just a weak city boy.
It was bad. Then we find out during the confrontation when they're like, "We're gonna have Osha come with us." The mother Manisa, she goes all like black mist, and Master Soul's like, "Oh, I'm scared," because they saw Master Torben get like taken over, possessed, and like, I don't know what kind of force this is. I'm gonna use my lightsaber, and kills Mother Anissa. And then she has this line like, "I was gonna let you go." Oh,
Why
really?
did you turn into a smoke monster?
Like-
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm scared of smoke monsters.
I saw Lost. All right.
oh yeah,
Sorry, a 20-year-old reference there for you.
You don't need to watch it.
no, don't.
Don't waste your time on that. So yeah, you find you're getting the picture where Master Soul is seen by May stabbing their mother, and so that's where you're getting the whole like, oh, that's why she wants revenge, not because you left me in a pit after a fire. Yeah, they find out the symbionts is the same between Osha and May, and that is the Vergence. And like when you say Vergence in the Force, this is the same as them saying Anakin was born out of nowhere, out of thin air,
Right.
and he is heavy in the M count, right? And so this is where the real Star Wars fans are going, okay.
Well, the Vergence wasn't ever meant to be like a symbol of the chosen one.
Yeah. But
It
you're
was-
making it, you're diluting
You are.
how special this is.
Sure, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, we go back to the fight. So the sister witches, or Mother Coral, she disappears, and the sister witches are doing this kind of like chant, and
Yes.
like they possess the Jedi Kanaka, the
Wookiee.
the Wookiee Jedi.
That was a cool fight.
And then you
That
get
was
this
really
fight
cool.
of
That was a
like
good fight.
Kanaka being possessed and taking it all out on Torben. Torben got
Torben,
destroyed.
he got wrecked.
He got wrecked. And
got
you're like,
wrecked.
so that's what happened to your face.
Wookiee happened.
It's like he was missing some hair afterwards too. Like he did not do well after that. Yeah. And there's an epic fight with the Wookiee, and then it was, what's her name? The beginning Jedi. She saves the day. Master Indara, she calms Kanaka's mind, and then all the witches die
Yeah, that was weird.
because
Well, it was-
there was a
they
like they
explained that-
severed the
They passed out.
they passed
And
out.
then the fire
And
killed them.
Oh, the fire killed out the passed out people.
Yes.
they didn't just die.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's how I was. That's how like
So-
I looked at it. As
so
they
one
didn't die because of Master and Dot. They just passed out because it exerted all their energy, and then the fire killed them.
Okay.
So
I
the
kinda
fire-
thought it was like Luke Skywalker when he was like force projecting himself. I thought it was kind of like that amount of energy, and it kind of killed them. That's
Yeah.
where I came to.
Now I
that
watched a
conclusion.
couple people comment on that, and they're like, "No, they just passed out. They didn't actually die at that moment."
No,
So
it would have been.
It looks like
it would
they
have been a
died.
better death to die like out of passing out as opposed to burning alive.
I know, right?
So I don't like that story. I'm going to shelve that one.
that's fine.
And then we end on the Jedi all agree to hide the truth from the council, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the weirdest thing? We're like, we can't tell them what happened because Master Soul will get in trouble.
Yeah.
You just killed off a whole village, and you're like, oh.
We're just gonna say a little kid started a fire,
And we were like,
we're gonna
oh.
blame a little kid. That's what the Jedi do. We're gonna blame the little kid. Little kid killed everyone.
You can't blame the little kid, so you just blame the little kid.
5 Jedis couldn't help. No, they all died, and we tried to save the good one. I just shook my head. I was like, these Jedi look horrible.
Yeah.
I was like, I had such high regard for them. Now I'm just like, ugh. And so like in my mind, I'm going, what has happened within the 83 years? How did they well, I think at the end we find out Yoda finds out, right?
She talks
And then he's
to
like,
Yoda.
no more yellow. I knew you guys took too far with this yellow.
No more yellow.
You
We're
guys
gonna
thought
keep
you
that-
were all bougie with your stuff. No, we're going back to beige and brown. All right, no more. I'm done with this.
Your attachments.
Your
yeah.
attachments to your yellow, it's just too much. Okay, so we're on our last episode, and May escapes and goes home to where the Night Sisters are, and Soul follows because she was on the same ship, but there was this whole escape.
Yeah.
Did you guys like how the sniffing rodent disabled the hyperdrive and caused the crash? He was like, I'm scared. Let me just dig into this wire box and just ruin your whole pursuit.
Right.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Weird
It
loose
was
end.
it was a weird character to begin with.
Yeah.
The sniffing
Yeah.
Jedi. And he's like,
He
yeah,
wasn't a Jedi. He was a
Oh, yeah,
civilian.
he was a
'cause he wore
civilian.
the civilian
Yes.
outfit.
He
There's
did.
a civilian outfit. So,
Yeah.
I'm not wearing the outfit.
That was so silly.
So Osha and the Sith Chimere, they leave and go back to the scene of the crime of all the witches dying. And so we're getting everybody coming together for the last battle. And May finds... May's mind is... oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm ahead of myself. You get the final battle, right?
Yeah.
You get Chimere versus Master Soul. It's an epic fight. It was really cool.
It was a good
I
fight.
enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed the falling backwards slow motion.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is a little Crouching Tiger Matrix feel. But I'm like, okay, whatever. This is just an artistic style of how they're showing it. I'll go along. But May does find out the truth, and Master Soul's lightsaber is knocked out of his hand, and it's kind of cracked, and that's where Master Soul is gonna tell Osha. No, sorry, not May finds out. Osha finds out, and Osha is overfilled with so much rage that she bleeds his lightsaber and chokes him out and kills him. And I was sad to see Master Soul die, but I think it was kind of necessary. He was kind of not a good
He wasn't
guy.
a great Jedi.
He had a lot of attachments. Yeah.
Right.
I had a lot of hope for him, though.
He was the most likable of the
He
Jedi.
was. He was.
He was more human and less
A Jedi. Less tool, we're going to do
Yes.
this.
It
Yeah.
was just like my husband, Mark. He was like, when they killed all the Jedis, it was the first time I was rooting for them to kill all the Jedi.
It's kind of like a Dark Knight situation where
Yeah.
you're like, I'm rooting for the Joker.
Right.
So yeah, the cavalry Jedi show up with the Green Jedi, And at that point, May and Osha meet up at their old tree that they were at before, and Chimere, hey, we gotta leave here, and that's where Osha leaves with Chimere, and Chimere wipes May's brain, like wipes her memory, and then May is found by the Jedi, and she's like, "I'm a little kid. I don't have a memory."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
And we're just left with Osha is left with the Sith, all the original Jedi that were on this grass finding trip.
All the
dead.
Jedis, all the Jedis are dead.
All the Jedis are dead.
Except for one Jedi that you met, the green one.
The green one, the seasick one,
The
Well, she's-
the space sick,
Yeah.
the Tums one.
The Sith was her Padawan.
Yes, we do.
That's the dots you connect.
And so Chimere's there when the Tums Jedi is there. She shows up, and that's where he puts on the helmet, but she feels his presence.
So she knows.
She
it's
knows,
him.
but we get, during the cave-like conversations with Osha and Chimere, like, he shows his back, and he kind of alludes that the Jedi did this to him. He goes, "My master threw me away." And you're like, okay.
That's an interesting scar from a lightsaber. Oh, who has an interesting lightsaber that looks like a whip?
Right.
I wonder who his master was.
Yeah.
Dot.
And so you kind of bridge the connection. Oh, and then the green Tums Jedi.
Well, that's her name. She's the Tums Jedi.
Tums Jedi right now. She sends May out, like, you need to find my old Padawan now. So like they leave breadcrumbs for the second season. We do have some pop-ups in this. Master Yoda shows up at the very end. He couldn't feel in the Force that, I don't know, 10 Jedi have died at this point. Peace. Yeah, we've had peace.
He's a younger Jedi.
He's 83 years younger than he is
He's still like 700 years old or 600 years old.
He's old. He's pretty good in the Force.
You don't know how it works.
So we have Kia Diamundi. He was in the show,
Yes.
Nice name.
right?
Yeah.
The little pop-up head
They
thing.
shouldn't have had him.
And
in
they
it.
shouldn't have been in there because he is aware that Jedi are dying and it's a possible Sith.
That cameo was, I think, a
That
mistake.
ruined everything.
That was probably one of the biggest mistakes
So
they
aggressive.
made.
well
with the
because
show
he has one line
in episode
in
one.
episode 1 where they're in the council and they're just all like, when Qui-Gon goes like, I think he was a Sith. We've had peace for the last millennium.
He's like,
It's been 1,000
The
years.
Sith have been extinct for a millennia. That was his line.
And everyone
then-
watching the show who's a Jedi fan or like a Star Wars fan who watched episode 1 going, what? You knew about this? And you're like, we've had peace for 1,000 years.
It's Alzheimer's. That's what
Whatever. I was just
He's a
like, my
liar.
goodness. We have short-term memory, I see right here. Like, it was just, are you kidding me? And here we go. I'm on my rant now.
Yep, you can see it.
It's just like,
Japheth
you've
is
just taken
exploding.
away with the vergence of just like, we've brought up like May was introduced as a vergence into the Force, right? And we've got to train her, but she's not the chosen one. But you think after the incident with May 83 years prior, they would be like, nah, we had problems with this before with Anakin. We're not doing this. I don't care what we're doing. We dropped the yellow in our clothing. We learned our lessons, all right? We don't hire Jedi that get seasick anymore or space sick. It just threw things off. It kind of diluted what was special about the Anakin Skywalker kind of story for me with this.
I don't know how the history goes for Star Wars, but as a story on its own, it's hard for me to like a story if I don't like any of the characters at the end.
Yeah.
Which
I-
characters?
I like the robot. That was cute.
I don't even remember
Oh,
the
the little
rodent.
the little handheld robot. The
I
toy
wasn't even
placement
I love droids in Star Wars, right? But that one it was
didn't do it for you.
No,
No, I did not. At the end, I was rooting. Who do I like? Am I supposed to like
I like the
OSHA? Am I
Sith.
supposed
I like
to like
I like
Soul? Am
sexy Sith. He was all
Yeah.
cool. He's like, you could stab me.
He was the best character in the show.
yeah,
You can
But-
stab me. It's cool, but
Any of
I'm
the,
cool. Like you don't need to do that.
Any of the main characters, it was like, I don't like any of them.
Yeah.
So why am I watching this?
Yeah, and then they throw in this Plagueis thing right here.
They throw in the Plagueis cameo.
He's creeping in the cave with the handrails.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Virgins? Maybe I could copy and paste that and I could create my own little Padawan.
Yeah.
It just throws things off. Like,
They throw the Plagueis cameo.
and
Yeah.
I shake my head. Because it's like, okay, well, there's 2 Sith there. But the power of 2, okay, well, we're
is he
gonna
a Sith? Is Plagueis a
Is
Sith
Plagueis
at
a
this
Sith now?
point?
I don't know.
Right. We don't have answers.
wait,
He's just a
probably-
creeper in the
Plagueis?
cave.
He is literally
Unnatural things.
He's basically the mastermind behind why Anakin turns to the dark side.
He's the creator of Anakin.
Yeah.
So you know how the witches created May and Osha?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Plagueis creates the
Anakin.
virgins, but the Force is going, you can't create how this virgins is going to come into this universe. We decide that. And I think they play on that with Osha
Right.
and May, where Osha's like, I don't want to be you. I don't want to be part of the witches and lead them. I want to be a Jedi. And so it's kind of the Force going, you can't control the Force. And like I was like, I kind of like that. They kept that kind of story of like the Force is still in control.
Right.
The people wielding it doesn't mess with that story. But yeah, I have issues that it kind of just takes away from what's special about episode or like the Star Wars or the Skywalker saga.
I think it just confuses the series, confuses the fans.
This show was meant to like appease the fans, and they did way wrong. My biggest issue with this is that they treated this like it's gonna be greenlit for like 4
Ever.
seasons. They should have treated it as a one and done,
Yep.
and then if it was good, they would continue on the story.
Yeah, they're too
But
too far
left
ahead.
They left it as to be continued, and the fans aren't happy. The chances of this getting season 2 are very small.
No, so let's talk about the fans. So the fans pushed back on this.
Yes, they did.
And there was this knee-jerk reaction by the executive producer. Her name is it Lisa
Headland.
Headland. And so she's like a young kind of producer at Star Wars, and she came out like swinging. And
she was ridiculing the fans.
she was attacking the fans that are going, we don't like this. And they're
Well,
going,
I get her perspective. Her fans are attacking like her baby project or a project that I'm sure she had some sort of passion to.
Sure.
You don't make fans like a show by yelling at them and saying you're missing the point.
you're
This
supposed
was
to like
good.
this.
Oh, I agree, but I understand her response. Was it appropriate? No.
I don't like it for not the same reasons as the fans, because I'm not a fan that follows all the stories from the books and the cartoon series and everything. It's just a separate story, and I'm just going, I don't like the people in this. Why should I like this story?
And we'll talk about like the story itself. I've read lots of Star Wars stories. I would say this is a lower tier story for me. This is up there with like Zombie Sith School like book. I remember reading that. I was like, this book is like reading like World War Z and a Sith Academy. Like I just was bored with it, and I thought it was very weak. And I really hated the negative response by the actors going out and attacking the fans. And like, you guys are this, and that because we got mean comments. And I'm like, have you not heard of Russian bots? There are people that write algorithms to create chaos on the internet. Everyone knows you don't look at the comment section.
Yeah.
Well, I got mean tweets. Sticks and stones. Like, you're on Twitter. Everyone who's on Twitter is like, don't look at the fan. Like, you don't look at the comment section. Don't take it personal. But what do? One of the actors comes out with a song about, like, you guys are bigots and racist. And then you're just like, whoa. Like, boy, that was calculated. And the production level is like, we're only on episode 4, and you've already got a hate song towards the fans. I was like, I don't know. I think you were really the optics of it look really, really bad. To the fans.
Disney's had a problem with PR lately. I mean, they had the issues with Snow White, and now they've got this going on. Like, they've got a PR problem.
So I was just shocked by the response from them, going, just put the product out there into the market and let people decide. Do we like it or not like it? Star Wars fans learned their lesson with Solo, where they really just ripped into Solo, and then Disney canned all movies, and then they're like, oh, crud. I think we were too harsh on that one. Because most Star Wars fans are like, oh, Solo wasn't that bad.
Right.
It just wasn't, it wasn't Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
And so we get that. But it was just, I was just disappointed with how the Star Wars team handled the fans' reaction. That's our opinion.
Yeah.
You put the product out there, and we pooed on it.
You got to realize, Star Wars fans, we are creatures of loving the thing that we grow up with. Star Wars was designed to be for children. And so guess who are the big fans of Star Wars now? They love the prequel movies because that generation has now grown up. And so they're hypersensitive about, you're messing with my trilogy.
That's my childhood.
Right, that's my childhood. So give it time. Guess what? In like 10, 15 years, people are going to be like, the sequel trilogy, that was my trilogy. So, like, it's just...
So if they make something even worse, that'll make this look better.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It could. Well, let's see what Skeleton Crew comes up with.
Yeah,
right?
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's a surprise. I think, did we have any issues with any of the actors or anything?
I think the actors were good, but I think either the direction or the script or the editing made them not likable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no
And
problem with the
that's-
actors.
and it's okay to have not likable characters, but if all of them are not likable, why am I watching this story? I don't like any of these people. There were times where I did, but then by the end, it's like, I don't like any of these people.
I think that's just a theme that we're getting now with modern TV and movies, where we're going to throw you a whole bunch of characters that you aren't really going to like, because we're really going to show how human they are. And then at the end, you're going to be rooting for the bad guy or somebody you normally wouldn't root for because they're the lesser of two evils.
Star Wars is a melodrama. The good guys, the bad guys. You can tell who they are. We want to root for the good guys. That's what made the first Star Wars movie so good, because we'd been getting that mishmash of the
gray.
good guys really kind of the bad guys.
We get The Godfather, where you're like, I'm rooting for gangsters and they're shooting other and we're like,
It was all depressing, but when Star Wars came out, it was good guys against bad guys, and it was obvious, and you rooted for them. And this is just a mishmash of,
I don't know who to like.
and then they throw like
who
politics
anybody
in there,
liked.
and like, they throw.
Oh yeah,
and
we love politics.
all like,
That's what made everybody love the prequels. was,
Yeah.
Attendance roll, please.
I can see the ETs didn't make the meeting, as always. Yeah, politics were so good. Jar Jar Binks went to the Senate. That's what they thought of it. All right, let's give them some Mickey bars. Who wants to go first in this?
Father, Yoler.
One Hades bar.
One Hades bar.
bar.
Ooh, spiky.
I'll give it a 1.5. I will probably revisit it just because I am a Star Wars fan, and I'll just be like, like a couple years from now, I'll be like, let me just see if it's like as bad as I remember.
Did you watch it again? Have
I
you only watched one?
haven't.
I
I
watched
only
it a
watched
second
it once.
time. I was still visceral, like, feeling in me.
Right.
Um,
Again, it's one of those things that if it just ends, like if they don't make anything else, I'm probably not going to enjoy it again. But if they are able to answer some more questions that they refused to answer the first place. Yeah. So
Less flashbacks.
So I think my opinion's based off of whether or not they continue the story or not.
How about you, Jackie? What do
I
you think?
give it a 1. I'm probably not gonna watch it ever again.
I'm a 1 Mickey bar. The lightsaber fights save it for me.
It did.
Yeah, the Wookiee
I
scene.
mean, it
Yeah.
looks like Star Wars. It sounds like Star Wars. You can get the special effects awards,
Yeah.
but you're not going to get any story.
No.
It's not Star
The
Wars
story was bad, but the production looked great.
Yeah,
thought the production was
looks-
weak.
I thought it was fine for television.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm totally satisfied. Yeah, if it
It's
was
no
in a movie
movie,
theaters, I
but-
might have expected more. But I think for television, of course, I grew up a long time ago, and the TV we got then, cardboard boxes, spaceships. This looks great. But
Yeah, it's better than that like Flash Gordon kind of on a treadmill floating on a black screen or blue screen, right?
exactly. So for me, the production values look great, but the storyline is just so unenjoyable.
Okay, so we've all
Is this
given it.
worse than the holiday special?
Yeah, I think
The
for
Star
me
Wars
this
holiday
is the
special.
least favorite thing.
Even worse than the holiday special?
I haven't watched the holiday special.
The holiday special has the advantage of
Comedic.
being like the airplane movie.
Sure.
It's the black hole where you can clown on it and
Yeah.
have fun.
Yes.
This is not
you
meant
can't
to be that.
clown on the
Well,
Acolyte.
you can clown it. We clowned on it hard. Tums lady. Clowned on Tums lady.
And then
really
she's got
good.
the whip lightsaber. I was like,
That was kind of.
I'm like, I'm already mad. I'm just not worth my energy anymore. It's like the political side. It's like, nope, you're not gonna get me this time. I'm moving on. No emotion on this one.
Yeah, no, it'd be much better with people in the background, Mystery Science 3000 or whatever.
You need the peanut gallery.
Yeah,
The clown. To make
then it
jokes.
would be worth seeing again. I would watch it with that.
Yeah, I agree. Last question: do you greenlight it for a second season?
No.
Can we please do something else?
You want a different Star Wars story?
I don't want a flashback trying to fix everything that they did wrong.
Okay,
Just
so no,
move
different
on.
story. Different.
I
Star
would
Wars.
agree. I would agree. They need to move on.
Move on.
This was a Kathleen Kennedy push. This series because the High Republic was her legacy for Star Wars. It was going to be her legacy. It was like, oh, this is what I left you guys, the High Republic, and this was supposed to be the bridge between the two.
Yeah.
And this just shows that Kathleen Kennedy does not know Star Wars. Again.
Yeah, I'd heard in interviews that it was some guy named like Thomas or Isaac or some where they were like, "Hey, can we do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's totally cool." Like, do you know Star Wars? Like,
Well, I think even like the director was just like, yeah, I had never watched Star Wars before.
You
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
need to watch Star Wars. You just need to watch a movie or a good TV show to say, I don't like anybody here.
yeah, they got too wrapped up in the relationship of everybody connecting and their hatred towards one
we're
another.
gonna make the good guys look like bad guys, and the bad guys look like maybe they're good guys. And
They're
then
sexy
they just
and without their shirts, you know.
and it gets confusing, and you lose the whole. It's Star Wars, good guys against the bad guys. You just lose it.
Yeah.
It's just like Star Wars is simple. Like you got good guy versus bad guy and
Again,
awesome fight
it's
scenes.
meant for children. As much as the fans hate when people say it's meant for children, it's supposed to be simple. It's not meant to be
I don't think of it as
complicated.
for children. I think it's for all people.
Yeah.
You can make it just.
It's
make
not like-
it a good story.
Your argument's like Disneyland's meant for kids. No, it's meant for everyone. Like, and I think Star Wars is like that as well. I think I differ with you on that view, but I think it would help as you watch this and saying this is for kids, and like the hardcore fans, yeah, you've forgotten. It's kind of like the comic book fans that know it and they're like, you know, they change things up, but they're used to that type of change. The Star Wars world has not been changed too much.
Peter, did any of your children watch it?
Nobody in my family watched it.
Did they have an opportunity and they just weren't interested, or?
No, I mean, one of my sons, he still thinks that Boba Fett's my favorite show, just because I did that song, and that was constantly playing in my house for a while as I was making that song for the podcast. He's all like, "It's your favorite show," and I'm like, "Yeah,
Sure.
Boba Fett,
Yeah.
that was my favorite show."
All right, so we'll wrap this up. Let us know on our social medias what you guys think of this TV series made by Star Wars. Did you like it, and should they continue it? Let us know. With that being said, Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.